Very much. I hope you enjoyed looking at the student posters during the break, and you're going to have more opportunities to interact with them, so please take advantage of those student posters. And thank you for joining our Access Management Foundations. 6 things that you must know. We have 6 speakers in 30 minutes, so this is going to be a quick lightning round that discusses herding cars, buses, bikes, people, and cats. So let's put this in perspective. Uh-oh.
The first cat herder in our family.
Herding cats. Don't let anybody tell you it's easy.
Anybody can herd cattle. Holding together 10,000 half-wild short hairs, well, that's another thing altogether.
Being a cat herder is probably about the toughest thing I think I've ever done.
I got this one this morning, right here, and if you look at his face, it's just ripped to shreds, you know?
You see the movies, you hear the stories, I'm living a dream. Not everyone can do what we do.
I wouldn't do nothing else.
It ain't an easy job, but when you bring a herd into town and you ain't lost a one of them, ain't a feeling like it in the world.
EDS, managing the complexities of the digital economy.
So in this lightning round of presentations, we cover 6 resources you should know about. And like cat herding, what we do is hard, and we endure lots of scratches. But to help you through the challenge, we have 6 distinguished panelists, each sharing their own perspective on how you can learn something and deepen your understanding. Kristine Williams is the founding member and past chair of the Access Management Committee, and cat herder, who took all the contributing authors' work and wrote 2 TRB manuals. Fortunately, I don't see any visible scars or bandages, so welcome, Kristine.
There's a scar. Thank you. Thank you for the honor of being called the chief cat herder, great cat visualizer of all things. I really appreciate that. And in my other life, I also work at the University of South Florida, and heard a lot of cats in a research center on transportation planning and corridor management. So the first thing to think about is the TRB Access Management Manual, the 2nd edition. And I do want to say this was certainly a collaborative effort. I don't want to take credit for this. And I would give deference to my colleague Virgil Stover, the big fluffy cat there in the blue bed, whose technical work, really outstanding technical work, has helped shape the field of access management for many, many years. And he's also known as the father of access management. And some of my other colleagues that helped with it, including Phil Demosthenes, who kind of used his lion heart to lead the charge in Colorado in the early years, and my colleague Karen Dixon, who you'll hear from in a moment, and many, many others, including panelists and volunteers that helped move the field forward. And so one of the first things we did was try to reshape the definition of access management and broaden it to recognize that it goes well beyond the right-of-way lines, and it includes land use and other modal issues. And so here you can see the new definition of coordinated planning, regulation, and design of access, and also to think about how access management improves the safe and efficient movement of people and goods by helping manage and reduce conflicts on the roadway system, as well as at its interface with other modes of transportation. So that whole modal focus has also broadened, as Mark said earlier in his comments. The whole fundamental program of contemporary access management, which started in the 2003 manual, which was produced with funding, thank you, from the Federal Highway Administration, and then we were able to update it with funding from the states through the Cooperative Highway Research Program. So here we see the contemporary program starting with building on functional class with an access classification system, looking at what is the appropriate level of access for each class of roadway or type of roadway, putting in the signalized and unsignalized spacing standards, what are the criteria, and the different types of intersections as well, roundabouts, means of enforcement, permitting and enforcement and regulation, and variances to allow flexibility in the system as well, to make it meaningful in our varied built environment. And then corridor management plans and agreements for more drilling down, getting beyond into the network, into the circulation system that can really help make our corridors work efficiently. So the manual really established the state of the practice and continues to help move that forward. And also has here's the visual index of all that's contained, concepts and effects, planning, design, administration, coordination. There's new chapters in each of these areas, as well as a appendix full of techniques that tells you all you need to know about the various techniques of access management. Each of these chapters is linked to the Access Management Application Guide, which Karen's going to talk to you about in a moment. So that's all I have.
Wonderful. Thank you. Karen Dixon is our primary author of the companion AMAG manual. She had the privilege of cat-herding hundreds of specific topics through a 3-year journey to publication. Her battle scars are healing nicely. Welcome, Karen.
So, musical tones. So when he told me he was going to use this cat herding theme, I thought, well, I'll give some insightful cat phrase. So I Googled cat quotes, and I couldn't find any good ones. But you'll be happy to know I did find some interesting facts about cats. Now, one is that cats used to think they're gods, which I think pretty much explains a lot of things when I see my cats at home, who, by the way, own me, not the other way around. And also, Einstein loved cats, and he did have one quote, which was, the two things that save you in the misery of life, music and cats. So if Albert Einstein said it was good enough for him, it's good enough for me. As Frank mentioned, we developed the Access Management Application Guidelines. We had a relatively large team that helped us with this effort, and included many. We had people from Oregon State University, we had Kittleson & Associates, we had Dell Huntington and his private company, just a wide variety of people that helped us with this particular document. The goal of the AMAG, as we like to call it, because when we're transportation engineers, why in the world wouldn't we give it a shorter abbreviation that just is always the way to go on these things, is to answer or help provide a tool that helps answer the question, how to. So as Kristine said, for the Access Management Manual, that tells you the state of the practice, it tells you all of the key information we know about access management. Sometimes then you might say, well, now how do I apply it to my particular situation? We can't cover every situation, but that was the primary perspective that we tried to address, and to give some tools to help you, when you have your own unique situation, which is often going to be the case. We also had a visual index, as you can see here, and each of these is the chapter. You'll see the section and then the following chapters, and they are again linked over to the Access Management Manual. But primarily we had a variety of policy-related, general considerations, just an overview of concepts, the driveways and other design considerations were the primary focuses there. One of the things that has been more popular with AMAG than I had originally expected is that I thought, well, let's just add some cool little spreadsheets on the DVD that we share with people, so that you can customize your own tool, figure out questions that you have. And so we do have a variety of spreadsheet tools that you can acquire with the document. And included in those are how you can calculate corner clearance both upstream and downstream, how you would do decision site distance, intersection site distance, and left turns and right turns. And then just a pathetic pitch for in a few minutes. We have like at 11:30 a review of AMAG, and so I was going to try and demo a couple of these spreadsheet tools. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Karen. All right, Jerry Gluck is another founding member of our committee. He's a practitioner who wrote the synthesis document on how everyone in the nation herds cats, implements access management.
Thank you, Frank, and thank you for that very flattering image up there. I'll leave it up for another second. Okay. So what is a synthesis report or project? It basically pulls together for practitioners like us, like you, what is all about the topic. Access management was recognized as a priority, and therefore the funding was made available through AASHTO to conduct the synthesis that basically has two main components. It's a survey of the agencies, DOTs as well as others, as well as a literature search. Now, what made it such a challenge, a typical synthesis is really a single focus. The example I came up with, reducing litter on roadsides. Interesting topic, one dimension. Whereas access management, as you've seen from the table of contents of the AMAG and of the manual, is multidimensional. There are the legal implications. What's the statutory authority that the agency has to implement access management? Is it an administrative rule? Is it just a policy? Is it statutory authority? It really ranges, and that influences the items below it. Various strategies and techniques. Left turn lanes, right turn lanes, driveway spacing, signal spacing. Design elements. If you have a median, how wide should the median be? How should the median opening be designed? All these are aspects of access management, which is what made the synthesis so challenging. Ordinarily, the synthesis document is relatively short. This one ended up being more than 100 pages. Three main elements: doing the survey, doing the synthesis of the research and literature, and then documenting the results. The survey was interesting because, again, because access management is multidimensional, how do you come up with a reasonably sized survey? We're all put in a position, we got a survey form to fill out. The more questions it has, the less likely we are to fill it out. In our case, we developed a survey, it had more than 60 questions. We sent it out to the panel and said, help us, please, tell us which questions we could knock out. End result, we ended up adding questions to the survey. But even so, because access management is recognized as being so important, we got a 90% response rate. And our panel said, you know what, if you got 90%, why can't you get 100%? So we went back and we basically went to the people who said, look, I just don't have the time to fill out a 69-question survey. You have to do something. So we basically reduced the survey down to 14 questions. So we were able to get 100% response. So we have a good picture in the synthesis of what the programs represent, how they're administered, what works, what doesn't work, excuse me. One thing I want to point out, in terms of the program evaluation, we wanted honest feedback from the state DOTs in particular, in terms of what are the institutional issues that contribute or detract from implementing the program. And we basically said, look, we will make those responses specifically related to program evaluation anonymous, so you don't have to worry about any negative results or feedback. The synthesis, based on the literature search, it covered a whole range of universities, state DOTs, city agencies, and again, it had to deal with the multi-dimensions of access management. We also have a section in the synthesis report of contemporary practices. We had an arrow down what we found to be the most interesting practices, and I'll put in a plug for the later section. I cover two of them, very different ones. That's what the report looks like, and if you'd like to download it, it's available online as a PDF. Okay, thanks.
All right. Thank you, Jerry. Another long-standing member, Jim Gattis, is an academic scholar who evaluated the best ways to get cats into their cages. We call them driveways.
Don't blink or you're going to miss this. This was our team on the project with their affiliations at the time. Some of them have changed, and of course Herb Levinson has since passed away, a real giant in the field. Why study driveways? Well, I've presented some of the issues, some of the topics here. Keep in mind that when we use the word driveway, we're not being really correct because we're really just talking about a part of the driveway, the connection to the roadway. You see from 1993 ITE report some of their recommendations considering driveways. Look at the crash numbers here. You see that a good portion of urban crashes are related to access connections, and left turns are overrepresented. So our project, as many of these projects have, many facets, we were guided by the project panel in selecting what we were to study. We listed driveway elements and came up with over 90 different parts of or aspects of driveway design. Didn't know it was so complex, did you? One of the things, as directed by the project panel, we measured ground clearance dimensions for low clearance vehicles that we identified. We went to existing driveways that showed cat scratches or bumper hang-ups and measured their geometry. And the biggest aspect, we measured the speeds of vehicles turning into both left and right driveways. You see our data constraints there. We're talking about your typical suburban type of setting. And in order to have more of an apples to apples, we placed some pavement markings in the driveways to make the right turns a little more comparable among the different driveways we measured. Okay, let's look at some of the results. One thing that really surprised me, people by and large are fairly slow. We look at our sensor patterns, turning in left. We're looking at 2, just kind of a lane away, 3 right in the entry of the throat, and 4 about 15 feet into the driveway. Look at sensor 2, sensor 3. Not speeds, the speeds weren't very high. The steeper driveway, when we got to close to the driveway, started to slow slightly. Looking at the elapsed time between sensors 3 and 4, and also at sensor 4. Now looking at right turns separately, we didn't have a sensor 1 in order to make numbers with right turns similar to left turns, so you had 2 in advance, 3 right at the throat, 4 somewhat into the driveway. Again, you can read the graphs and see the distribution of speeds and elapsed times. So the takeaway from that is drivers turning into driveways aren't going all that fast over a wide range of grades. Only when we got to the steeper driveways did we see some effect on the speed slowing down. And from watching, we recorded over 1,500 vehicles, but I observed over 2,000 vehicles, and I came away realizing that maybe driveway radii needed to be just a little bigger than what I had thought in advance. We produced a guide to consider the needs of all users, not just motor vehicles, compiled a list of definitions. This is just a short list of some of the topics we considered. There's a lot more to it than this. I just picked a few highlights. And evaluated different types of entries, driveway length, vertical alignment elements, and we produced these 2 documents. And I've used up all my time. Somewhere could the representatives from South Dakota get in touch with me? I need to talk with you. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. And Gil is one of the newest members of our committee. He's one of the leading experts in alternative intersections, or how to efficiently get bickering cats through one spot when they all want to do it all at the same time.
Great. Thanks, Frank. So my category is alternative intersections or innovative intersections. And what we talk about just very briefly is some resources that are there with Federal Highway on these innovative designs. So for easy access, it's a little small here. I mean, it's bigger, but you go to safety.fhwa.dot.gov/intersection. And here you can find all these guides in this location. And you see there's a whole bunch of them, and I'll go through each one of them real quickly. First is Roundabouts, probably the one that's most familiar with most of you here. First Roundabout guide was done in 2000, second one 10 years later, and we're actually in the process through NCHRP 03-130 for the third edition. That should be coming out around November 2020 if everything goes to schedule. And just like there were a lot of changes between the first and second edition, I imagine there's going to be a lot of changes between the second and the third one. Federal Highway has an alternative intersection informational report. It was completed technically in 2009, but really it's an ongoing process and it does get updated on the website. I do have the website access over there, but you can just do a search, AIIR, FHWA, you'll find it. It has 18 innovative intersections and interchanges. Actually, when we really do the count all innovative intersections, we probably have around 50 now. So they're not all in here, but there are quite a few. The four that are most popular now have their own informational guide. So there's things in this that are outdated. It's a good skim to read through, to give you some ideas that are what's out there, and it's just a really basic level on these designs. But one chapter that I would recommend is the last chapter. Chapter 10 is on the assessment methodology of determining what intersection or interchange might make sense for you and how you would go about in that process. Again, it's a little outdated, but I think it's good enough read that you should really consider looking at that chapter. Of the four informational guides that Federal Highways produced in 2014, this is probably the most popular that's ever done in the interchange. The first edition is, again, 2014, but actually the second edition is on its way, probably in the next year or two, through NCHRP 03-113. Part A is pretty much completed. That's on the operational side, and Part B is being worked on right now. It's on the safety and geometric side. And so there's going to be 3 chapters that are going to have major revisions, and probably some of the other chapters will have some minor revisions. What Federal Highway is calling the displaced left turn intersection is more commonly known as a continuous flow intersection. It's really the most powerful accurate intersection out there in terms of capacity. For those of you who aren't familiar with how it works, the left turns don't happen at the main intersection, they happen beforehand. So you'll get a green light and you'll approach a red light at the main intersection. But as you get to the red light, that light will turn green for you and you can make a left while the throughs are having a semi-exact time, the other left's having a semi-exact time, and then the throughs get to this intersection, that light turns green for them as well. So once you get the first green, you have continuous flow through the intersection. That's where the name comes from. This was mentioned in Michigan lefts. Median U-turn is what Federal Highway is calling them. The idea here is that you can't go left directly. You have to make a through movement and then make a U-turn, come back. Utah has a variation called the through U-turn movement, which is basically what I just showed you over here. And then what Federal Highway is calling the restricted crossing U-turn intersection, it's really a category of what's more commonly known as super streets for signalized versions or J-turns as unsignalized versions, although different states do have other nomenclature. It's really becoming the intersection of choice in rural intersections for those that have started to do the J-turns. And basically the way it works is it's actually very similar to an access management technique. It's not similar, it's almost the same. From the side road, you can't make a left or a through, you gotta make a right turn, go to a median opening, and come back the other way to complete your movement. So these guides are out there, and why should you be interested? Because basically it does 3 things for you: safety, mobility, and value. If it's going to be safer for you, if it's going to give you better mobility, and it's going to give you great value, it's a trifecta, and why wouldn't you consider them? So that's why Federal Highway has these guides out there, and these resources are great for you guys to look at and hopefully start building some of these. So with that, thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, and I'm Frank Broen. I'm the webmaster for the committee. And between the manuals, the research reports, and the presentations, I try to store all the records created by our prolific committee cats, and we find them when we want. So we've worked hard to create a website, www.accessmanagement.info, that's prominently linked to the best access management information on the web. So this presentation will cover what's there now, how to use it, how it's built, and future updates. The Resources and Learning Portal is undergoing a major update, which hopefully is going to happen today. Currently, it features the scrolling banner, the next event, latest document, and latest articles. The website's built on a Drupal platform, a powerful open source content management system that currently has over 500 resources. They include documents like research reports, papers, handbooks, presentations, articles, and will soon include the videos from this conference. You'll be able to watch this presentation again online on YouTube. There's a search tool in the current website. Now, if I was interested in the word transect, it would return 3 results. You will note that the results can be further filtered by using a faceted search by clicking on the boxes that you want. You filter the content by document type or publish year, authors, and tags. But it turns out there are more than 3 documents on the site that discuss transects. So, if you were to Google the term transect, you would only get about 4.6 million results. So currently the best way to find information on the Access Management website is to do a Google search. Enter your term like transect plus site : accessmanagement.info, and that would return the 10 results that are on the site, a complete listing. And it includes a great presentation given by Brad Strader that you could listen to the entire presentation and review any specific slide in the outline. Now, I imagined that the site would eventually work as simple as this. Just search what you want on the site and learn something new. The site is built in Drupal, which is a content management system, and unfortunately the search tool has yet to work as promised, but I do have a top Drupal expert, Willie Karam, working on fixing the internal problems and updating to Drupal 8, and again, we may have that update done today. Of the 500 documents, TRB has funded at least 11 NCHRP in-depth research reports. 2 of them are the impact of access management and driveway reports that Jerry and Jim just discussed. The site includes 7 NCHRP synthesis reports. These reports summarize the state of practice from around the country. And every proceeding from the 15 national and international access management conferences our committee has hosted since 1993. You can view most of the conference presentations since about 2006. There's also a YouTube channel that features short videos created by Rob Sanders, who's here today. We will add another 60 videos of all the presentations from Madison, thanks to WisDot's efforts to record the conference. We currently have a Facebook page with more than 5,600 people who follow us. Now, what you can't see is when you log in is the magic that happened behind the scenes. New content could easily be managed and added by administrators with the proper credentials. The website is populated using specific fields like title and abstract. However, the real power to find things on the website comes from additional information that is included as XML data. Every document is identified by the document type, one of the faceted search items. Additional XML data includes categories based on the Access Management Manual, images, and free-form tags. Another feature of the Drupal system is the ability to assign user roles. All content is currently available to anyone on the web. Currently, registered users can like a document and make comments. Our database grows weekly. Unfortunately, there are many bots continuously requesting access, so that requires routine maintenance to keep our users up to date. We're updating the site to embed video on the page, provide specialized search tools for NCHRP documents, and add sponsors to help pay and continue development of the site. The platform could also be used to publish online copies of the Access Management Manual and the AMAG once we convince TRB leadership that this would be of benefit to the mission that we all have. So if you need information about access management, please sign up and use the site and give me feedback. Thank you. That's a lot in 30 minutes. I hope that you have enjoyed this and have a great rest of the day and conference. Yeah, I will also say, okay, as soon as I turn that off, that don't miss our event tonight, the reception, because we're going to have something a little unique. It's Access Management, the musical. All right? We have a barbershop quartet that's going to come, and you will experience access management in a whole new way. So thank you and enjoy. Thank you.